Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our nightly concert. I think this is the start of week number 5.
Yay.
Can't believe it. Can't believe how fast it's gone by. It's really kind of kind of miraculous how fast it seemed to go by for us. I say miraculous because on one hand, it seems like the days are going by so slowly during this interesting period of time that we're all living in now. But for us, this playing our concerts for you every night has made this time seem like it's gone by a lot faster, which I guess is a good thing. So thank you so much for being here tonight. For those of you who might be joining us for the first time, we are Laura Dubin and Antonio Guerrero. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We'd like to start off with a really fun jazz tune by a pianist named Duke Jordan, and I guess he named this tune after himself. It's called Jordu.
Speaking soft,
Yes.
Thank you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. tried to play a note on the piano that doesn't exist. A lot of the time I do that accidentally. There are a couple rare pianos out there. I think they're Bosendorfers that have an extra couple keys. Typical piano has 88 keys, such as this one here, but I think Bosendorfer is one of the few piano brands that makes like 90 or 92 keyed pianos or something like that. I don't know. I've never played one before. I would love to someday. Anyway, for those of you who are just joining us, that was a tune called Jordu, composed by a pianist named Duke Jordan, and I just love the way he like named that tune after himself. I guess I could make one called Loru sometime. Sounds kind of funny. It doesn't quite have the same ring as Jordu.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please leave us a comment and say hello, and let us know where you're watching from, whether you're here in Rochester or maybe you are in another city, state, country, on the other side of the world.
Another dimension.
Yes, if you're in another dimension, fifth, sixth dimension, seventh, I don't know how many there are, but if you're in another dimension, please let us know how you got there, because we'd love to join you there. I guess I kind of feel like we're in another dimension right now. This is like the Facebook dimension.
Well,
And
in a virtual dimension.
exactly. This interesting period of time that we're living through kind of seems like we stepped into something like that. Yeah. So next we'd like to play a Horace Silver composition. We love playing Horace Silver's tunes so much, and for those of you who have been following all of our concerts recently, you know how much we love Horace Silver, and I've mentioned several times that all his compositions are different, and they've all got something really special and unique about them, whether they're just simply really fun to play, sometimes really challenging to play, but challenging in a good way. We'd love to rise up to the challenge and, do them as best we can. Some of them just have like really interesting harmonies or rhythms or really catchy melodies. They've all got something special
all
about
is
them.
working in progress.
Yeah.
All is until the end of
Oh
the
yeah,
race.
exactly.
And it's-
Anything that we play is a work in progress.
Yes,
Yeah. And I think any musician should say the same. I think if you ever feel like you're just completely done with something, it's not really music. So this is a tune by Horace Silver called Room 608. And when I read his autobiography a few years ago, I learned that that was actually the room number of one of his apartments. I think maybe his first apartment or one of the first apartments that he lived in when he moved to New York. And he just, it was a special apartment to him because that was where he wrote a lot of his first compositions when he moved to the city and began working with other musicians and working in clubs and, making a name for himself. So this is called Room 608. And if there are any Seinfeld fans out there, like us, so random fact, I noticed once, because I'm a nerd like that, that the apartment across the hall from George Costanza's apartment is number 608, and George lives in 609. So of course, because I love this Horace Silver tune, I like immediately noticed that. Oh my God, George lives almost in Horace Silver's apartment.
Later we can share our story with Elaine, but later.
Oh, okay. So if you guys, thank
Without
you.
planning, but
So
just saying.
hardly anybody knows that story except for our family. So if you're listening, if you're watching this, please stay with us till the end. Not just because we want you to, hear all our music, but we've got a great story about Elaine from Seinfeld. A great, great, great story to share with you. So there you go. That'll keep you with us till the end, I hope. If the music wasn't going to keep you here all night, hopefully, hopefully knowing that you're going to hear that story at the end of the concert will keep you here. So without further ado, this is Room 608 by Horace Silver. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that story. I can't wait to tell that one. I know my family already knows that story, but this is it'll be a new story for most of you. was Room 608 by Horace Silver, named after the actual room number of an apartment that he lived in New York. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you're enjoying the music and you'd like to make a contribution to show your support for what we're doing and to help us keep doing these videos as long as possible, please head on over to lauradubin.com. There's a link right in the video here. It's either at the top of the screen or maybe on the side of the screen, depending on what kind of device you're using right now to watch this. And there are 3 different ways you can make a contribution. One is you can download our albums, and we certainly hope that you will that you'll do that, because we are so happy to share our music with you, and we love it when people actually purchase our albums and listen to them. And we're so lucky that so many of our friends have purchased our CDs. Just recently, earlier I guess it was the end of 2019. I was about to say earlier this year, because I still think of years in school terms, starting in September. But around that time, we digitized all of our CD collection. So before, you could only purchase our albums physical copies, or you could get the digital version from iTunes or Amazon or CD Baby. But now you can get them directly from us through my website. And so that's the first option that you'll see if you click on the link. The link in this video will take you to the store, the music/store page of my website, and you'll see all the icons of the album covers there. And if you click on each album cover, you can sample the album and you can find out details about the albums and everything. So we hope you will do that. If you scroll past the album covers, you'll see an option to make a one-time donation of any amount that you choose. There are several amounts there that you can choose from, and you can adjust any of them if you'd like to, just by changing the quantity. So for example, if you'd like to donate $40, you can go to the $20 option and then change the quantity to 2, just as an example. And the third and final option, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of that same page, you can become a monthly patron of Laura Dubin Jazz, or a monthly subscriber. You'll see a drop-down menu where you can click and you can select the amount that you would like to donate once a month. Then when you click on the yellow subscribe button, you'll be redirected to a PayPal website, and from there you can set up your monthly automatic credit card payment, so that you just have to set it up one time, and then it will just continue to be deducted from your credit card once a month, so you don't need to think about it again. That'll be a great way to show your support on an ongoing basis if you'd like to see us continue doing these videos as long as possible. And PayPal stores your information securely, and my website is also a secure site. I don't have any access to your credit card info, and it's a safe website. However, if you want to make a donation but you prefer not to do it online, please send me a private message here on Facebook and we can talk about another method. If you're unable to make a donation at this time, that's okay. We really appreciate you being here and listening to our music and watching the videos and sharing them on your own Facebook page. Your support really means the world to us. So thank you so much. And now we will continue with the music. What's next on the menu? So this next tune is probably one of the most recorded tunes by jazz musicians throughout history. So many jazz musicians have played this tune, their own variations of it. It just kind of ended up becoming one of those tunes that all jazz musicians love to improvise over. It's called Green Dolphin Street, and it comes from, oh yeah, we switched them a little bit. Sorry. It comes from a movie of the same title, which apparently starred Lana Turner, and it was composed by Bronislaw Kaper. That's quite a name. I had to practice saying that name. And I believe, I might be wrong about this, but I think Miles Davis was probably the first jazz musician to record this tune as a jazz arrangement. Or if he wasn't the first, he might not have been the first, but I think he was the first one who had kind of like a, if you want to call it like a famous or well-known jazz version of this tune. Our arrangement is inspired by the pianist Ahmad Jamal's arrangement of a tune called Poinciana, which has a very specific kind of groove with the bass and drums. And so that inspired our arrangement of Green Dolphin Street. We hope you like this.
After, well, you tell. It's good that you announce.
So what?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2. That was our Poinciana-inspired arrangement of a jazz classic called Green Dolphin Street. Next, we'd like to play one of the first jazz tunes I ever learned in my life, and I actually learned this piece before I officially started taking jazz lessons, and I've actually got a nice story about how I learned it. My best friend growing up, who lived 3 houses down the street from me, her dad is a wonderful trumpet player, Bruce Aldridge. We actually played some gigs with him last year when we, or the year before, when we actually did a Horace Silver concert of a lot of the tunes that you've actually heard us play recently. And we did a concert at the studio, too.
Yeah, it was Linda.
Yep,
It was,
our friend Linda, our friend Chris played with
Chris.
us, Dave Berlone, and our dear friend Tom played the
Tom
bass.
Lang,
We miss
yeah,
Tom
he
so
was Tom
much.
with
Tom was a
us,
wonderful
yeah.
bass player and friend. To those of you who knew Tom Lang, you know what a wonderful, wonderful guy and musician he was.
Yes.
So, yeah.
We miss you.
Yeah.
We miss you, Tom.
So, Bruce Aldridge is the father of my dear friend Lynn Aldridge. And when I was, I think maybe like, I don't know, 10 years old or something, I was like just starting to kind of pick out tunes by ear, and like I felt like a little bit like I was interested in learning some jazz. And actually, I don't even know if I ever told you this, but Bruce actually loaned me a trumpet for a little while. I think he had an extra trumpet. It wasn't, I mean, I loved playing it, but I don't know. Like, there's this saying that you don't choose your instrument chooses you. And I definitely feel like the piano is like my instrument. Like, that instrument chose me. I couldn't quite get the hang of the trumpet in the same way, although I always loved the trumpet, and it's such a beautiful instrument. Maybe I should pick it up again someday. Yeah. I really hope the camera was on you when you did that. So anyway, Bruce and I started playing some music together, and he taught me how to play this tune called So What, which is a classic jazz tune by the trumpeter Miles Davis. And if you haven't heard the album Kind of Blue, it's possibly the most famous jazz album ever, probably next to Time Out by the Dave Brubeck Quartet. And Kind of Blue is actually, I think still to this day, it's like the #1 selling jazz album of all time, which is a pretty big deal. Yeah.
The bass line, I think, is something really, really special.
Yeah, the bass line is what makes this tune, for
Yes.
sure.
Even if you are not a bass player, everybody loves this line. I think it's just...
It's a
becoming
classic.
wow.
Yeah. So he must have, I think he taught me how to play that bass line, and then he played kind of like the melody part on the trumpet. So that tune kind of, got me to start learning jazz by ear and, learning how to improvise. And then like several years later, I actually heard the album Kind of Blue for the first time. And in my opinion, it's one of the best albums for people who have never listened to jazz before and want to, sometimes it's daunting to know where to start. I've had several people ask me, they've come up to me and said, I've never really listened, sat and like actively listened to jazz before. What albums would you recommend that I start with? And that would absolutely be #1. That and probably a couple Horace Silver albums too, but I would say Kind of Blue would be my #1. And I've been listening to it my whole life, and you always hear something different every single time you listen to the album. And actually, we saw something on PBS recently, and I just realized somebody said the same thing. It was a TV show that we saw about
There
Kind
are
of
so
Blue.
many stories about that album.
Yeah.
About the instruments, how they make the music, and how they're recording. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I was reading that book.
Oh, yeah. When we met, I think you were
when
reading
when
that
I
book
met
about
you,
Kind of Blue.
And I was just, because I like sound, about the sound
engineering.
engineer, how they make this beautiful sound. Yeah, so interesting.
And they were all in one room together, right?
Oh, yes.
I think, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, old-fashioned way.
It's amazing. So just a couple nights ago, so we're getting a little sidetracked, but we'd like to share this information with you. Just a couple nights ago, we were talking about how when musicians record, they're typically in separate rooms, or if they're not in separate rooms, they might have like a piece of plexiglass or something between them so that you can get the sound separated. But in this case, I think all the musicians were in this big room together, and I think the room was a big part of the sound of that album. But anyway, it's great listening. Rudy Van Gelder, yeah, must have been him. Well, it was Columbia Records was the record label. Also, I'm not 100% sure if that one was Van Gelder, because I know he did a lot of those Blue Note albums. If any jazz aficionados out there are watching, maybe you can correct me if I need to be corrected on that one, as far as who the engineer was.
Oh, yeah.
But if that's what you remember from, yep, then you're probably right. Yeah. So it was Miles Davis on the trumpet, on saxophones, John Coltrane and Cannonball Adderley, Jimmy Cobb on the drums, Paul Chambers on the bass, and on piano, Bill Evans played on most of the tunes, and Wynton Kelly played on one track called Freddie Freeloader, and maybe we'll play that tune later this week because I've got a story about that tune also. So anyway, with all that hype, all that build up here that we just told you, we'd like to play Kind of Blue. So What? The tune is called So What from the album Kind of Blue. Seems like Kind of Blue should be the title of a song from that album. it's amazing how sometimes the most simple tune could just be the most beautiful tune as well. I guess in some way that could be what makes a beautiful song. That's definitely, for sure, I think, one defining element of beautiful music. And something that I love about that album, Kind of Blue, there are many albums that I, for whatever reason, I only listen to them like during certain times of the year, because for some reason sometimes certain music just makes me feel like a certain season. Like, I tend to listen to more like, I don't know, kind of mellow or like introspective music maybe during the winter, and maybe some more upbeat music during the summer. That's not always true, but like that's just kind of a random example. And then there's also some music that like I can only listen to during the daytime because it's like not relaxing enough for falling asleep. And then there's other music, certain albums, that are great for listening to at night or before you go to bed. But Kind of Blue, for me, I can listen to that album any time of day, any time of the year, any day of the week. Doesn't matter. Somehow it's like always a great time for that album. I'm never not in the mood for hearing that one. So to me, that's like one special thing about it. And I had one of the best moments of my life. I will like never forget this. I was visiting my best friend Sruthi in New York, and I was on vacation, I guess, and she was working during the week. I was visiting her and staying at her apartment. And when she was at work, I was just like hanging out by myself. And if you're watching, this was when you used to live close to a cafe called Aubergine. And there was one day that when my friend was at work, I went and had breakfast in this cafe around the corner called Aubergine. And just as I sat down with my cup of coffee or whatever I was drinking, and I remember I had a book with me, I was just going to sit there and read, Kind of Blue was just starting. They were playing the entire album on the speakers. And the first tune came on, which was So What, and I figured it was just going to be that one song. It turned out that the whole album was playing, so I just had like the most memorable breakfast of my life, just spontaneously sitting in this cafe all alone with my coffee and my book and listening to Kind of Blue. Actually, I probably didn't really read the book because I have a hard time reading and listening to music at the same time, because I like to do one or the other so that I can fully concentrate on whatever it is I'm doing. So that's my random Kind of Blue story. So we got just a couple more tunes to play for you. And this one comes from the West Side Story album that we released last year. We played the music at the Jazz Festival, as most of you know, because so many of our friends were there. We thank you so much for being there that day. It was such a special performance for us. And I think this is a really appropriate song for right now, even though you're not going to hear the lyrics when we play it now, but the song Somewhere, I think, has quite a message of hope. If you listen to the song as sung by Maria and Tony in the movie or in the musical version, I think it's got very hopeful lyrics. They're both kind of dealing with a dark time in their life and figuring out how to cope with it. And they're dreaming of better days ahead. And so I think that's a really, really appropriate song for right now. So this is our arrangement of Somewhere from West Side Story. West Side Story. Did I just say West Side Story? It's actually hard to say West Side Story. It's quite a tongue twister.
Could you tip the mic with your...
Oh, that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
was our arrangement of Somewhere from West Side Story, and you can hear that on our album that we released last year called Laura Dubin Trio Plays West Side Story. We've got just one more tune to play for you tonight, but please leave a comment and say hello, because after we finish this tune, we're going to stick around and chat with you all for a few minutes and say hello, and I'm going to tell my story about Elaine, our story about Elaine. I can't wait to share it with you. It's very exciting. And if you've been enjoying the music tonight and you would like to see us continuing to do these videos for as long as possible, please head on over to lauradubin.com. There's a link right in the video here, and there are 3 ways that you can show your support if you would like to. The first is you can download all of our albums. We've got 7 albums for you to choose from, plenty of music to listen to these next few weeks or months. You can also make a one-time donation of any amount that you choose. There are several amounts there that you can choose from, but you can also adjust any of them if you would like to by changing the quantity. And the third and final option, if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the same page, you can become a monthly patron of Laura Dubin Jazz. So how that works is you will see several amounts there on the drop-down menu. You can click on that menu, and you can choose the amount that you'd like to donate once per month. Then go ahead and click on the yellow subscribe button, and you'll be redirected to a PayPal site. And from there, you can set up a monthly automatic credit card payment. And that's a great way to show your ongoing support if you'd like to see us continue doing these as long as possible. You can always cancel at any time if, like, say, further on down the road, your financial situation changes and you're unable to keep doing the monthly payment. There's not going to be any penalty if you do decide to cancel. So you'll just set it up once, but you can always manage it at any time. And PayPal stores your information securely. We don't have any access to your bank information. And my website is also secure. However, if you'd like to make a donation, but you don't want to do it over the internet, send me a private message here on Facebook and we can talk about another method. So we truly hope you'll consider supporting us in one of those ways. If you're unable to do so at this time, we understand. The thing that means the most to us is that you're here watching our video, listening to our music. We really can't thank you enough. Thank you so much to everybody who's been on this journey with us. We've had many friends who have been watching these videos every night or almost every night. And our audience has grown a lot in the last few weeks thanks to our friends who have shared these videos on their own Facebook pages. These videos are all public, so feel free to go ahead and click the share button if you're enjoying what we're doing and you would like your friends to see it. And also, if you have any friends who are not on Facebook, they can still watch these videos on Facebook, even if they don't have a Facebook account. The only thing is that they won't be able to like the video or leave a comment or anything like that, but they can still see it. However, if they prefer, you can also see these same videos on YouTube. Every night after we finish these live performances on Facebook, we upload them to YouTube. And you can also see them on my website, on the videos page of my website. So there's 3 different places to see us, so got no choice but to you can't help but see us somewhere.
In YouTube, of course, they can make a comment or like
yep.
it.
If you have a YouTube account, you can leave a comment.
Google
yep.
account,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yep. And of course, you can watch any video on YouTube even if you don't have an account. So so we're everywhere. everywhere you want to be. What's that? Visa's slogan? It's everywhere you want to be. That's us. Everywhere you want us to be, there we are. Whether you want to see us or not. So without further ado, we'd like to play our grand finale, and this is not only probably one of our most requested tunes, but it is a tune that no matter how many times I've played it in my life, I never feel like I don't want to play it. I always love playing this tune. That sentence didn't quite come out like I planned it in my head. I always love playing this tune. I never want to stop playing this one. It's actually another one of the first jazz tunes I learned, I think by ear, and I've just enjoyed playing it more every year of my life. This is a classic song called Take the A Train, which many people believe Duke Ellington wrote. His orchestra did make the song famous. It was their theme song. However, it was actually composed by Billy Strayhorn, who was a wonderful pianist and composer, and who collaborated immensely with Duke Ellington. And sometimes he would even play the piano in Duke's orchestra when Duke was, standing up from the piano and conducting. They had a very long collaboration, and Billy Strayhorn wrote so many wonderful compositions. And apparently, this tune, Take the A Train, he apparently wrote it when he was really on the A train, going to Duke Ellington's apartment in Harlem, and he wrote the lyrics out of the subway directions. So that's an awesome way to write a hit song.
And that was do you remember when we played the festival in Bethlehem? Or
Oh yeah.
the bass player turns out that he was working in the software.
Oh right, yeah.
He was.
Maybe he drove the A train. He could have. So that's really one of the subways.
I kind of remember something about that.
Yeah, we should ask him about that sometime. His name was Bernard England. I'll have to get in touch with him and see if I think we're Facebook friends. I should reach out to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was an MTA subway driver, which is an incredible job, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Take the A Train. Woohoo! All aboard. That is all the music for tonight. Thank you so much for being here with us. We'll be back tomorrow night at the same time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be doing this every night until, as far as we know, the end of time at this point.
Yay.
And we're so enjoying it. Thank you so much for being here with us. I saw a bunch of comments popping up while we were playing, so I'd love to take a few minutes now to see who's listening and say hello to you all. and then I will tell our great story about Elaine after that. Or maybe while we're doing this. So, if you're watching this on my personal Facebook page, please head on over to my Facebook music page, which is called Laura Dubin Jazz. Actually, I think it's called Laura Dubin Jazz Pianist / Composer, but the actual website is facebook.com/Laura Dubin Jazz. Go ahead and like the page if you haven't done so already, because that way you'll be notified every time we do these live videos or anytime we post other music-related content. Basically, anytime I have any music news to share, that's one of the first places where I do that. And also, you can sign up for my mailing list. If you'd like to join my mailing list, either just leave a comment and say you'd like to join, and then I'll reach out to you. Or you can just send me a private message with your email address. Don't put your email address here in the comments. I want to respect everybody's privacy. Or you can just go to the homepage of my website, and if you scroll down like a couple inches, I guess. See, to me, I always think of the scrolling like in terms of inches or centimeters. If you scroll down like a little bit, or a couple seconds, let's say, you'll see a sign up for my mailing list, and you can just type your email address there and click submit or whatever it says. And typically the mailing list is like the first place I announce big news, but then I'll put it on Facebook too, like usually later the same day or the next day. But if you'd really like to be in the know, you should sign up for my mailing list, and also go ahead and give my Facebook page a like. And we just reached 500 likes last week, and now we've already got like 530 likes, I think, since like less than a week ago. So thank you so much to everybody.
Thank you all the family and friends.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Yeah. It's great to like the good thing for us when people like our page. It gives us more visibility like across Facebook, which is
sharing,
yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
It's not like exactly because we're like, please like me. Hopefully, when I see the word like on Facebook, that's like what always pops into my head. But
yeah, that word just take another.
It's got a new meaning now. Yeah, it's
yeah.
basically like signing up for that you want to have news alerts.
But anyway,
so.
please like us.
Yeah, please like us. All right, so, and let's see. Every night I try to change this, so we got a whole bunch of comments. The reason I'm doing this is because for some reason, I don't know why Facebook does this, and I literally don't see any way to change this. For some reason, the comments show as like most relevant, which I don't know what that means. I don't know why Facebook thinks some comments are relevant and some aren't. They're all relevant to me, but for some reason, maybe it's like while the video is still live or something. I don't know. Sometimes they don't all show up, which I've noticed several times afterwards. So I'm gonna try my best to catch everybody here. But I see that Siobhan's watching, Donna's watching. Siobhan. Hey guys!
Thank you for watching, Siobhan.
Samantha, hi Samantha. Thank you so much for watching.
Lesser.
She says, thank you for doing these every night. It's nice to tune in and feel like I'm in the same room as you guys. Oh, I know. We miss you so much. And by the way, the muffins that I made yesterday were delicious. I sent Samantha a picture of those muffins because, we've got a joke about muffins. And I used her muffin oven mitts to put them in and out of the oven. So
thank you, Samantha, for watching.
Your mom and Alejandro are both watching. Hola, Ma!
Thank you, Mom.
And Alejandro.
Gracias,
Ale.
Gracias,
Thank you
Ale.
so much for watching.
Thank you, my family in Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you. Virginia George, this is such a treat. You guys made my evening. Thank you so much, Virginia. Thank you for listening. We're so glad to have you here tonight.
Thank you, Virginia.
Dave Boyer. Hey, Dave. How are you? Hey, hello to you and Cindy.
Beautiful pictures that
yes.
Yeah, you posted.
The
Wow.
super moon that we had the other night, I don't know if it was officially called a super moon, but it looked like super fantastic to me. When we looked out the window, it was so beautiful. But then your photos of that moon that night were incredible.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. So thank you. He likes my Count Basie shirt. Yeah. This is the shirt that I got from Downbeat magazine. I used to have a subscription to the magazine, and I guess that was like one of the prizes that I got for signing up for a subscription for a couple of years. Actually, the subscription was a gift from my parents. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Your mom says, bravo, bravo, bravo. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Hola, Diana.
Hola,
Thank you for
Diana.
watching.
Dianita,
Your whole family's watching. Hey, our whole family. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Linda. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Linda.
We miss you so much. It's so great
Yay.
to have you here with us every night. We so appreciate you tuning in. Hey, Siobhan. Oh, yeah, of course. Siobhan says, I heard all aboard in Darlene's voice, of course. So, I don't know if any of you know about this. My sister, Siobhan, always turns me on to, like, the best movies and music. And we have, like, very similar... We have a very similar sense of humor, my sister and I. And maybe... Oh, I was going to say like 7 years ago. It was probably like 10 years ago now. She turned me on to the music of Jonathan and Darlene Edwards. Now, if you don't know who they are, I'm going to explain a little bit. So they were actually two musicians of different names. And actually, the singer Jo Stafford, this was like her alter ego, Darlene Edwards. I don't remember the real name of the pianist, so Siobhan, if you're watching still, maybe you can mention the guy's real name. But his alter ego name for this project, if you want to call it that, was Jonathan Edwards. So Jonathan and Darlene Edwards were this husband and wife duo who played really, really bad on purpose. But it sounded like... It's so funny because you can tell by the way they're playing that they're legitimate musicians. They play just, like, bad enough to let the listener know that it's obviously a joke.
Yeah, making fun of that.
Yeah.
This is kind of difficult.
Yeah, so Darlene Edwards, who was really Jo Stafford, who was actually an incredible singer in real life, but when she was playing this character, she would sing, like, a microtone or two, like, flat or sharp, on purpose, and she would just throw like the funniest little things.
Extra beat. No?
Yeah, they would do extra beats. They would like randomly do like a measure of 5/4, but like not intent. Well, I mean, I'm sure it was intentional as a joke, but not like in the way that was their arrangement. The joke was that like the musicians didn't know how to count, and they would like accidentally do other beats. There was something in the liner notes that's where he said, "Who says you can't put 5 beats in a 4/4 measure?" And the album cover has Jonathan playing the piano like this. And actually, he's got 2 left hands in the picture. I don't know how they photoshopped that. But anyway, it is just like the most hilarious music ever. And they do have a version of Take the A Train, yes, where she goes, all aboard! Also, they mostly do jazz tunes, which are so funny. They also have a version of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, which is, like, I've never laughed so hard in my life. So, if you guys want to, our audience out there wants to really have a laugh, because I think we all need as much laughter as we can get these days. Yeah. They're probably on YouTube. Highly recommend you look up Jonathan and Darlene Edwards. So... Hey, Betsy, thanks for watching again.
Thank you, Betsy.
She says, Maggie said to tell you that your music is awesome. Oh, it's so sweet. See you tomorrow night. Thank you so much to you and Maggie for watching again. We appreciate it so much. Paul Weston was his real name. Thank you, Siobhan. Yay. So, yeah, highly recommend. And also, you must use the bathroom before you watch those videos, or before you listen to those tracks, because you're going to laugh a lot. Oh, I see another comment here. Let's see. Oh, I think this is actually from yesterday, but Roger Newell. Hi, we are Patty and Roger Newell in Plano, Texas. How cool. Nice. Thank you so much for watching. It looks like this is actually a comment on yesterday's video, but it looks like this comment was just left a little while ago, so maybe they're watching this one now. Thank you so much. Nice to know our music's traveling that far. I have a friend from Plano, Texas named Bobby Noble. Not sure if you know him. Maybe that's how you found out about this video, or maybe it's just a coincidence. So for those of you who are still watching, it looks like there's some people with us here. We'd like to share our epic Seinfeld-related story now. Oh, yes. So as most of you know, all our friends know that Antonio and I went to Paris last summer, and just as if, like, in case we weren't already having the best time of our lives, this story that I'm about to share was like the icing on the cake of our Paris trip. So there's a movie that we love called Something's Gotta Give. It's like one of our movies. Like, Antonio and I watched this movie. Like,
Keaton,
yeah,
Nicholson.
Exactly. Yeah. They're like 2 of our favorite actors, actress and actor. And we watch this movie like a couple times a year, probably. It's just like one of our go-tos when we want to watch like a nice feel-good movie. And at the end of the movie, they both go to Paris and they eat dinner in this restaurant called Le Grand Colbert. And Diane Keaton, her character in the movie, she talks earlier in the movie about how that's her favorite restaurant in Paris because it's got the world's best roast chicken. So, of course, because it's a real restaurant, we thought, well, we got to go there when we're in Paris.
Yeah.
So we did. And, of course, there's a big picture of, the movie poster on the door, big picture of Diane Keaton and Jack Nicholson on the door. And I think they're the seat that they actually sat at in the movie, because the movie was actually filmed right in the restaurant. There was like a little picture over their seat way in the back.
Yes.
So Antonio and I went in, and actually it wasn't that crowded when we went in, and we sat at this big table right in the front, and suddenly we're like, waiting for our appetizers or something, and I was kind of looking down, I think, at, my food or something, and all of a sudden Antonio goes, "Elaine?" I look up, and there's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, or Dreyfus. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Dreyfus or Dreyfus, but she literally was walking in the door right there, right in front of us, and she was with I assume she was with her family. She was with a group of people, and they went way to the back of the restaurant. It's a really big restaurant, and they sat way in the back.
Because actually she sits in the place where Diane Keaton was
Oh,
sitting.
of course.
They
She
have
got the star
little-
treatment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was sitting there.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. That it's exactly where she sat. So we were like, oh my gosh, what are the chances that we would see her in Paris, like, of all things? So after that, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to say hello. And at first we we didn't want to bother her because she probably, has probably her entire life has people going up to her, like that. And I don't want to like make anybody uncomfortable or whatever. But like a little later on, Antonio encouraged me to go say hello, and I wish you had come. You actually stayed at the table because you wanted to save our table because it was just the two of us there. And it was funny because first I like pretended like I was going to the bathroom because I was kind of like walking and wanted to see where I wasn't sure where she was sitting, so I kind of like made it look like I was going to use the bathroom. I think I just went and like randomly washed my hands and then kind of came out, and when it seemed like the right moment, I went over and introduced myself, and she was so nice. She was like the sweetest person ever, and apparently she was with her family just visiting Paris, on vacation. I asked her if she lived there because I don't know where she lives, and she said, no, we're just here for vacation. And I said, oh, my husband and I are here for vacation too. It's actually our anniversary, and she wished us a happy anniversary. I actually gave her one of our business cards, and I was really bummed that I didn't have one of our albums with us because we always carry our CDs around with us just in case, because like we never know who we're going to run into. But I think just earlier that day I had given away our last CD, the last one that I had in my purse that day, so I would have loved to give her one of our albums. But we had a really nice, like, very short conversation for like 2 minutes. I told her thank you for the laughs because Elaine, we love Seinfeld. Elaine's my favorite.
Now.
Serenity Now. Yeah. So that's our story about how we met Julia Louis-Dreyfus in Paris.
Right.
And it was so funny because, like, if we traveled to New York a couple times a year, and I don't know if she actually lives in New York, but I just associate her with New York because of Seinfeld. But I feel like, if you're in New York, we're here, this is our country, it would be like, really cool if you ran into a celebrity there, but it's like not like totally unheard of. But the fact that we're on the other side of the world and we just happened to be in this restaurant sitting right in the front when she walked in is just like hard to believe that it really happened. So now every time we watch Seinfeld, I wave and I go, hey, I met you. Very exciting. I just wish that a few nights ago we saw that episode where she's dancing to Earth, Wind, and Fire. I just wish that I had done that dance with her when I met her. That's my biggest regret, besides not having a CD.
Great impression of that. Yeah,
Maybe in another video I'll do the dance. So thank you to those of you who stuck around to hear this story.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being with us tonight. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you back here again at the same time tomorrow night. Adios.
Adios. Arrivederci. Arrivederci.
What's the song? Good night. Did the Lawrence Welk show goes? Adios. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen.
Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.